So welcome to continue Self-Growth Saturday. As you can see there, we've gone through some things. We talked about goals, habits, time management, self-awareness. I listened to Dwaylen's. It was awesome. I mean, it's great. He's an amazing teacher. And he just loves pouring into people. So today we're going to talk about intentionality and the law of intentionality, what that means. And there's a lot of content here, so please make sure you have your notebooks out. We might not get through it all today. That's okay. I don't want to rush it. But we'll take the pace, and I'm going to be very interactive, or more interactive than I usually am on this one, because I want to make sure I get your take and thoughts on things as we share. Okay, so again, why personal growth? Okay, it's to increase our natural development, to increase the size and substance of our brains and our capabilities and our acumen. Added another quote down there by one of my indirect mentors there, John Maxwell. Growth is the only guarantee that tomorrow is going to get better. Okay, that's the only guarantee. And the question is, do you want to grow? Are you going to grow? And then how are you growing? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share, just know, I'm going to put these slides on the Telegram channel afterwards, but I'm going to be flipping back and forth because I want to get more interactive on the questions and answer piece and get your thoughts on the law of intentionality. Okay. So, who has heard of the law of intentionality? I know Alan has, because we talked about it yesterday. What about you, Rebecca or Nancy? Have you heard of this law?
I have heard of that.
Good.
I forgot which book I read where it was in. Seven irrefutable laws, I think.
15. So 15 laws of growth. But that's okay. What does intentionality mean to you?
That you are not doing things on accident, that you have a plan and you set out to do exactly what you say to do.
Yeah, I love that. It's not an accident, right? It's by intention. Dare I say by design, right? Living a life by design. Well, guess what? Growth doesn't just happen. You have to be intentional, just like you said, Nancy. Thanks for sharing that. Because life is now in session. The question is, are you present, right? What kind of life do you want to live? Do you want to live a life by design or by default, right? What does that phrase mean to you, Oliver, in the last 3 months? What does that mean to you now?
It means that ultimately, I am the one who is in charge of my destiny. I can either choose to be proactive with it, or I could be like some who just sit back and just hope for things to happen. But I like to equate it to like a prayer with inaction. You know, you pray for the good Lord to help you, but you don't do anything on your part to make things happen.
Love it. Love it. No, I appreciate you saying that, man. That's awesome. And I can see how you're growing in that way, and the lessons that you're taking in from different people, from Al, from Ryan, from me, from whoever else. You're just soaking it up like a sponge. You're being intentional now, and you realize the benefits of that as you gain success, as you grow in your business. So that's awesome. And that's really what it is. It's what life do you want to live? And then how intentional are you being about living that life? Or are you just hoping that it's going to happen, right? You probably remember me saying this, that hope is not a method, right? In the military, we have methods of attack or doing operations, right? Well, hope is nowhere in those words, okay? Hope is not a method unless you're in church, by the way. So there you go. You want hope, go to church, you know, trust in Christ, there's your hope. But if you want to live a life by design, you got to be intentional about it. So to be intentional means that there's probably some kind of plan, right? So Sean Fields, what have you learned in maybe in the last 6 months or a year about designing a plan for the life you want to live?
Sorry about that. I'm on mute.
You're good.
Just a constant reminder that life just happens around us if we don't have plan. We don't have goals. We don't have things set out. We don't have some structure put in it. And in our chaos, it forced upon us and the societal things going on around us, it makes it that much more chaotic. So we've just got to have structure. Otherwise, it's just happening.
Yeah. No, great points. Thank you. And that's really what it is. And so one thing I take from this, so my current CEO, he wrote a book called Gen Y Now, and he studied world-class performers over the last couple of decades. He was a NCAA Division I basketball player when he was in college. He loved sports. And so he studied these world-class performers, and it's not just sports, it's just anything. It could be in business, life, whatever. World-class performers have about 9 characteristics that they all share. One of those is a measurable action plan for the way they want to live their life, right? And so the question is, what is your action plan to be intentional? Do you have a vision for how you want to grow your life and the life you want to live? And then based off that vision and those big idea thoughts, how are you putting it together in a measurable, tactical action plan? Because if you don't have a plan, then all you have is a wish, okay? And that goes back to hope, okay? It requires action, intentional action to write down a plan to be able to do what you're supposed to do. Then the next question is, are you focused on goals or growth? And let me tell you, I struggled with this one a lot because I was always being goal focused, goal oriented. I hit my next goal, I hit my next goal, I hit my next goal. And that's great. But what happens when you don't hit the goals? Then what? I would offer, and I learned this from John Maxwell, that if you focus on goals, you might hit the goals, but that doesn't guarantee the growth because you might not have those right goals. However, if you focus on growth, you will grow and always hit your goals. Okay? If you focus on growth, you will grow and always hit your goals. Okay? And that's hard sometimes for folks. But you have to be intentional about that to be able to want to grow, because life is in session. Question is, are you present for life and the life by design that you want to live? Okay. So then how do you see and deal with failure? Right? When you're being intentional, are you scared of failure? Many people fear failure. Most men fear failure. That just keeps them from being great. But it's not just men, it's women too. We tend to fear failure. I feared failure up to the point where I read the book Failing Forward by John Maxwell, and really helped me understand the concept of if you're failing, you can learn. It's not that it's over. It's not end game. It's that I can embrace it because it's lessons. In fact, failure has taught me more than success. Failure has taught me more than success. When I have an open mind to say, you know what? Yep, I messed up. Here's where I failed. I'm going to own that. Here's how I'm going to readjust and then succeed the next time. Because there can be a next time. There will be a next time. Okay, the failure does not have to be the end of all things. It just depends how you see it. Unfortunately, what happened to me was, as I was growing up in the military as a young lieutenant and a captain, because I feared that failure, I didn't stretch myself enough. Because I said, you know what, I know I can meet this goal, so I'm going to hit that goal because I know I can do it. I'm not going to fail. It's going to be awesome. And what I did was I just stifled even more success or stretching myself and growing even more because I feared that failure. I was just comfortable. I was risk adverse, and I just did what I needed to do without failing. And then finally, I had a mentor of mine just punch me in the nose pretty hard and say, why do you fear this? Let me show you how powerful failure can be for you if you learn from it, if you embrace it as part of being intentional in the life that you want to live. And man, I'll tell you, that was just so freeing for me. When I finally understood that it's okay to fail. And in fact, if I'm not failing enough, I might not be stretching myself enough. Right? So in your business, in whatever you're doing, are you stretching yourself? Are you being intentional to develop those goals that are going to stretch you and grow you? And oh, by the way, if your goals don't scare you, they're not big enough. If your goals don't scare you, they're not big enough. Okay? So think on that as you think through intentionality. Okay, so the next thing I want to go through are the growth gaps that people have with intentionality, the reasons and the excuses why they don't choose to be intentional about anything, whether it's life, business, family, faith, fitness, health, wealth, you name it. There are some growth gap traps that people fall into, but they're mistaken beliefs that keep you from growing. And oh, by the way, everyone has one. Everyone at least has one. You just got to identify, be self-aware, and then manage yourself to get out of it. Okay. And we were talking yesterday to the leadership team about the law of the lid, and I'm going to probably try to sprinkle that in a little bit on exactly what that is and the things that are holding you back. But the growth gap traps are things that keep people from being intentional in who they're supposed to be, right? So before we get into that, hey Richard, would you share with us and just what are some things that have held you back in the past from being intentional?
Hey, good morning. Sometimes things that have held me back from being intentional, like you said, brother, it's just myself. Fear of extending myself out, fear of the unknown, not knowing what the result is, what it's going to be. Being in the military, teaching classes, sometimes the fear of what your peers might think of what you're doing. I think that one was a big one for me. Is it was easy for me to instruct, and it still is easy for me to instruct people that don't know what the subject is. But if you're talking to people who know what the subject is, that to me is probably my biggest fear, so to speak, is again teaching something to those that know what I'm talking about, fearing that they're gonna second guess me or shoot me down or come up with something that's just going to kind of maybe put me in my place. So a lot of times when I'm looking at people, I'm looking at facial expressions and different things. But that's just some things that still to this day, kind of not as bad as I'm getting older, but just something in my younger days for sure. I paid more attention to what other people thought about me than maybe those closest to me.
Great. Thanks for that vulnerability. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you. Al Franklin, as you started, decades ago in building businesses and doing what you had to do, can you talk to us a little bit about the things that kept you initially from being intentional and then how you've grown over the years to build the success that you have?
Yeah, well, in the beginning, I used to have a job, per se, employed by someone, and so it was very structured. I had to be somewhere at a certain time and do my whatever I did and come back home, and I was done. But then when you start to open up your own business or start your own business, it's all on you now, And so what I used to do was I had a problem with procrastination. I had a problem with not really identifying on my calendar, work, an agenda for my day, because it's easy to, when you're on your own, you don't have anyone telling you what to do. It's easy to sleep in, right? It's easy to watch TV at night, Netflix till 10, 11 o'clock, and then go to bed whenever you want, wake up whenever you want. And that happened, for a period of time. Then I found myself procrastinating and not getting things done in a timely manner. So what I did was I tried really hard to, through affirmations, basically train my mind to be more intentional about getting up at a specific time, getting the workout done, whatever I have to do, employing myself, if you will, which I do now. At 9 a.m. I'm on the phone, period. And if I didn't have my workout this morning, it's too bad. Then I should have got up earlier, So at 9 a.m. I've got to be on the phone, and that bothers me because, especially with the COVID-19, I can't do anything. But the point is that I think through building like my hospice companies, that took a lot of energy, a lot of running around, and I had to really discipline myself. And it was easy because I was one of the owners of the company. I could do whatever I want. But if I was not intentional about calling on so many doctors, which I had to do I had to run all over Southern California here, we wouldn't have any money coming in. I was the marketing guy, so so I really had to work hard at being on the road at 9 a.m. or 8:30 a.m. out there knocking on doors, introducing myself to internal medicine doctors to build my hospice business up, and I had to learn the art of disciplining myself. You know, it was not easy, but it took a while.
Yeah. So, okay. So you said a couple great things there. One, discipline.
Yeah.
Intentionality requires discipline, and nobody's going to give you that discipline except yourself. It has to start with you. That's what self-growth is about. It has to start with self. Lori and I, she taught me this with the boys, like, you can't want it more than they do, because we'll try to get the boys to do certain things. We're like, we can't want it more than they do. With our customers, with our team, we can't want it more than they do. If they don't want to get on the videos, if they don't want to get on these self-growth calls, if they don't want to do stuff with their software and listen to the amazing educators we have all over the company, we can't want it more than they do. Okay. I got to start with self first, because I can't give what I don't have. So if I have self-growth and grow discipline and intentionality, then I can show that to others. Hey, look, here's how it's helping me. You might want to try this out. Think about it. So thank you for sharing that. And I'll encourage you on something. You say you can't do anything because of COVID stuff, man. Push-ups, sit-ups, and pull-ups. Come on, let's go. Get one of those pull-up bars, and every time you go into a room, do 5 to 10 pull-ups. There you go. Hey, Oliver, so why don't you share with us real quick on what caused you to get more intentional? How did the light click on for you as a new customer and teammate on our TradeWise team?
Well, to be honest with you, it was a combination of discussions with you guys, also hearing a lot of the comments of my peers and subordinates at work about how this sucks at work, how I wish I could do this. And I began to realize, looking at it, here you guys presented me with an opportunity. And like that first discussion we had where you were pushing me, it started connecting. I'm just using excuses like they are. And I'm supposed to be the one setting an example for them. So I'm going to be proactive with my life, and no disrespect to my subordinates or peers. If they just want to be on the wayside and let life pass them by, that's not my concern. That's their problem.
Great.
So it was a motivator for me, like you said, for a life by design, to reflect upon yourself, not self-deceive myself in, I'm doing the right thing, I'm going after it, but I'm really not doing anything. So
dude,
that was my motivator right there.
That's awesome, dude. And let me tell you, man, I'm so proud of you, because for you, I know I've said this before, maybe some of y'all don't realize, but Oliver still has about 6 or 7 years left in the military before he finishes his 20 years. He is setting conditions now, being intentional about setting residual income opportunities for himself, so that when he gets out of the military, he's a full entrepreneur. He doesn't have to work for any W-2 employer, because that's the life by design that he wants to live. And it goes back to what kind of Al was saying as well, is, hey, look, this goes back to your why. Why are you doing this? Why are you part of this team? Why are you part of Avoria Prime? What do you want to do? How do you want to do it? It all ties back to that purpose. If you don't have that fire in your belly with the why, then when it gets hard and you hit the valleys, you might tap out. Your why has to be compelling, and it has to compel you to action to do it. And then you can be intentional one day at a time. Go back to the video when I talked about disciplined daily habits. That's about being intentional. Disciplined daily habits. Darren Hardy had a great podcast a couple of weeks ago, talks about your future self. It's like, if you fast forward 20 years, what is your future self going to tell you right now? Is your future self going to kick you in the butt, say, hey, stop watching those movies, stop wasting that time, get on the phone, get on LinkedIn, start talking to people, share what an amazing opportunity this is? Or are they going to say, you missed the opportunity? You missed it. You weren't intentional. So you got to think about that. Okay. All right. Now let's go into the gaps, and I'm going to share my screen again. Okay. There's 8 growth gap traps that keep folks from being intentional. And remember, each of us probably has at least one that we either fought through or still fighting through. Okay. So the first one's the assumption gap. It says, I assume I will automatically grow. Hey, time's going to happen. As I get older, I'm going to get wiser. It's just going to happen. And let me tell you, that's just one bad crack pipe to be smoking. Just let it go, because it ain't going to happen. Okay. You have to be intentional. You have to be deliberate about your growth. You have to make the choice, say, yes, here are the areas in my life that I want to grow, and here's how I'm going to work on them. And oh, by the way, you don't have to do it all at once. First, figure out how are you ensuring that you're deliberately growing? What are those disciplined daily habits that require you to grow, right? The knowledge gap. I don't know how to grow. I don't know how to do this. How am I supposed to do this? I don't know how to call people. I don't know how to make a prospect list. I don't know how to do this software. Who's going to help me, right? Well, that's the thing. You got to get out. It's okay to not know. First of all, that's self-awareness. Just say, hey, I don't know this. I don't know this, and I know this is an area in my life that I need if I want to be successful 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. And then you ask yourself, hey, who can help me with that? Right? Who can help me with that? Here's where I'll sprinkle in the law of the lid. Okay? So the law of the lid says that everybody has some limitations. You have lids that keep you from being at your best. The first question you got to ask yourself is, what are my lids? What are your lids? What's keeping you from being at your best? You can look at them as weaknesses, but those things that keep you from just expanding and growing in any way, shape, form, or fashion in your life. Okay. The next thing you have to ask yourself is, hey, what part of those lids can I change? Again, back to self, right? You have to start with self, and you have to do something first. Then you ask, who can lift my lids? This is the comment there in the knowledge gap where who can help you grow. So go find some people that say, hey man, that person is awesome at that. They're going to help. They can help me. I'm going to go have some lunch. I'm going to buy them lunch, or I'm going to get some virtual coffee Zoom on, and I'm going to pick their brain, right? I have leader lunches once a month with leaders that are ahead of me, and I ask them specific questions so that I can pick their brains and learn from them. How do you grow? Who are the lid lifters that can help you grow and lift your lid, right? In the areas that you want to grow. So think through that piece, okay? Let me call on my good friend Skip. Hey Skip, what do you think about the assumption in the knowledge gap, and how have you seen it portrayed in the business world through those folks that you coach? Can you hear me? Oh, I think his audio's down. All right, maybe his audio will get fixed up. Ryan, what are your thoughts on the assumption in the knowledge gap? We still got people on. Still on? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. I'm good. Okay, good. Skip, can you hear me now? I can't hear you, Skip. I don't know why. Let me see where you're at here. Yeah, you're unmuted, but I can't hear you. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Now I got you, bro. Now I got you. Go.
My bad. I'm sorry. I was talking. I had such morsels of wisdom to share, and they're gone now. I'm talking to nobody. So much to say and so few people to listen.
Yeah.
Back to your question. I realized the biggest gap, if you will, for my clients has been defining the fact that they need to grow and to, in a sense, be humble enough to realize, for lack of a better term, we all need a coach. We all need a coach. And our coach helps us put the proverbial mirror in front of us so that we can see the areas in which we need to grow. And I think that that's the gap that is really a big, big chasm for many to really get to, because you could do a lot of the other things, but if that isn't in place, it's not going to be a full growth opportunity. So I think it's that being able to hold that proverbial mirror to see ourselves and where we need to grow.
Oh, thanks for That's huge, the coaching part. So another characteristics of world-class performers is that they all have coaches and mentors.
That's right.
All world-class performers have coaches and mentors to help them see, like you said, from a different perspective, give them that performance feedback while not being totally ingrained in it. So think of someone like a Michael Phelps, okay? I don't know if you've heard about or read about Michael Phelps' story, but his coach was with him since he was 12 years old, and he moved around with him everywhere he went to get to the pinnacle of his Olympic career that he did. He wasn't going to get to what he got by himself. There's just no way. You look at the greatest athletes, actors, business folks, they all have coaches and mentors, right? John Maxwell had a coach and mentor. And in his latest book, you know, The Leader's Greatest Return, he actually lines out like his top 20 mentors. One of them was John Wooden, okay? The Wizard of Westwood, that he got to sit with and talk to and glean off of. Jim Rohn, just a huge mogul in the network marketing, has had a coach and a mentor. Tony Robbins was mentored by Jim Rohn, right? Darren Hardy, Jim Rohn, they all have coaches and mentors. So they build that knowledge gap by finding people that can help them grow. So who are the people that you need to reach out to help you fill that knowledge gap and be intentional? So think through that and then do something about it, right? Because in the end, that's what the law of intentionality is about, doing it, right? Art Williams, just do it, okay? All right, the next thing is a timing gap. I'm sure plenty of y'all have heard this with customers, especially in the Forex market and with Avoria Prime, is it's not the right time to begin. I just don't feel like it's the right time right now. Okay, that's okay, you know, but if you want shade, when should you plant a tree? 20 years ago, bro, 20 years ago, because 20 years from now, you're going to ask yourself, 20-year older self, hey, why didn't you start that 20 years ago, right? It's the law of diminishing intent. I've heard Ryan talk about it over and over again. It's if you have a prospect that really wants to get after stuff and really thinking about it, don't let them off the hook. Stay with them. Stay talking to them. Because if not, the less you talk to them more and more, the law of diminishing intent takes over. And the longer you wait, the longer that desire to want to get on the team goes away. Now, we're not pushing and we're not pushing stuff on them. But look, sometimes they just don't know what they don't know. Sometimes they really don't realize the amazing opportunity that we have in this organization with the right people, the right products, the right education, and this amazing community of leaders and educators that can help people develop a life by design. Okay, so is it ever the right time? Okay, for those of you who are parents, hello, oh, we're gonna wait a certain amount of time before we have kids. Whatevs, man. There's never a right time. They're gonna suck you dry. It doesn't matter, right? Okay, can I get an amen for all the fathers and mothers? Right? So it's never a right time. It's on God's time, right? It's all on God's time that you do that. So how are you intentionally growing every single day? Hey, when's the last time you went to a leadership conference? When's the last time you heard the Avoria Prime University videos? When's the last time you listened to a podcast that can help you intentionally grow? When's the last time you read a book that can help you intentionally grow? Okay, that's all on you about being intentional. There's never a right time. Just do it. Just start. Remember, the compounding effect does not work unless you start, you're consistent, and it takes time. It's not going to happen over time. Okay. And then the fourth one here, the mistake gap. I'm just afraid. I'm afraid I'm going to make mistakes with the software. I might lose the $1,000 of a demo account. It's monopoly money. Okay, you can get another demo account. Just saying. Okay. And oh, by the way, if you're not trying, if you're not working at it, forget about it. Or I'm afraid to say the wrong thing on the phone to somebody. Right? I'm afraid I'm gonna say the wrong thing. Hey, look, it's just like your testimony. Nobody can refute your story. Right? So don't be afraid of making mistakes with your own story. How it empowers you, how it enables you, how it helps you build the life by design for your family and your future. Right? What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? Would you jump off that cliff? Would you take that extra step? If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do? Right? How do you fail forward and grow? Are you intentionally trying to fail and grow and stuff? Okay. So Mark Williams, come on the net, man. Tell me, what do you think about the timing gap and the mistake gap? What are your thoughts on that?
Wow. You picked the wrong question to ask me. No, but it's actually the right question. Yeah. So I think one of the things for me that I see in myself, so I can say it, I also see it in others, is that a lot of us struggle with the mindset of all or nothing. And rather than taking it daily in small bites or whatever, we're like, well, if I can't have it all now, if I can't, understand everything that I feel like I need to understand, I can't take a step forward. The whole thing about, making mistakes. Oh my gosh. I just wrote in the chat, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. I wish I had $1 for every time somebody said that to me or taught me that. And I think that is one of the most, I don't know, insidious kinds of things that, we kind of get this thing that our intentional action is us working on our own. But when you start to begin to understand and believe that, your life has already been planned and you're set up, you're set up to meet people every day. God introduces you to people, connects you with people. Instead of depending on yourself, let him lead you.
Yeah. That's good. Thanks for your vulnerability, man. Thank you so much for those insights. I've heard people say it's not the right time to begin. Well, just go again. Then when is the right time?
Yeah, really.
When is? If you know that right now is not the right time, then when is the right time? And then you can just go from there and just say, what's that future self going to tell you? What's
the whole thing about
self? Go ahead, Mark.
The whole thing. I was just going to say the whole thing about it's not the right time to do everything, but it is the right time to take the next step.
Yeah. Rome wasn't built in a day, people. I mean, come on, right? Rome was not built in a day. It takes time. Compounding effect takes time. Study it over and over and over again. It just does. And we have to be patient. And that's one of my lids. I'm just truth and transparency. I'm impatient. I am impatient. Oliver knows, man, when I was in command of the battalion, like, let's go, people. Let's go. Let's go. Let's run fast. Let's go farther. Let's do this. Let's do that. So Kenny Rojas, won't you come on the net here and help me understand why you struggle with the knowledge gap?
Well, it's the first time being put on the spot here.
Come on.
Honestly, I'm going through like a personal midlife crisis. So I need to be understood on a personal level. I don't have the mental capacity to even understand myself, which what I'm going through. I'm here like trying to identify even myself and what's going on. But I'm taking everything in that, that you guys are telling me. And honestly, I need a personal mentorship to even start to begin to understand what is it that's putting me in a position, because I get, like right now I'm speaking, I'm sweating, I'm getting social anxiety. So there's something in me that I have to peel back. I was able to have a private conversation with your SGM, Mr. Dasher. Beautiful person. I mean, he brought me to tears, and I'm growing with him privately.
Good.
So I can share that with you guys, and I'm just here trying to absorb until I get to a position where I can gain my personal confidence again, to get to a position where I can put that out there in the world. Because just as bad as if you're not capable to help others, you need to help yourself. And that's what I'm working on myself. That's as best as I can describe what I just put there as far as the knowledge gap.
Well, Kenny, man, I appreciate your vulnerability and your candidness so much. I know that's not easy, so I really appreciate you doing that. Well done.
Honesty
let me,
starts within itself, sir, and
there
I have
you
to
go,
be
man.
honest with myself.
And when you follow in what Dwaylen Dasher tells you, you will go a long way. The man's amazing. I love him. He's taught me so much.
Thank you.
Does all the time we talk. The other thing is too, hey, look, give yourself some grace. Okay, get those negative words out of your vocabulary. That you can't do this, you can't do this. Yes, you can. You were created for something special. God put you here for a reason, and He created you for some awesome. It's just a matter of getting all that personal stuff out of the way, right? And Dwaylen will help you with that. I'd be happy to help you with that as well. And just take it one day at a time, right? And
Thank
it's
you.
what I
Appreciate
was saying in the beginning, where you have to get those positive thoughts in your mind early. Being thankful when you get up in the morning. What are you thankful for? And writing that down and being positive and putting those positive things in your mind so that you can grow and you can believe in yourself. Okay.
I'm
So
journaling and I'm on Book of James right now.
boom, right? So count it all joy. Okay. Count it all joy when you face various trials. It's not if you're going to face various trials, when you're going to face trials. You're in a trial right now, man. You're in a storm, and that's okay. Jim Rohn used to say, don't ask for things to get easier, ask that you would get better, right? Don't ask for things to get easier, ask that you would get better. And that's what you're doing now. I mean, you're taking the steps to be intentional. You've reached out to Dwaylen. You're on these Zoom calls. Every day, just take one step to grow, and then you'll get there, man. Excited to see how
You
you're going to
sound
grow.
exactly like SGM Dasher, and I love it.
Yeah.
I'm here to follow and not say anything until I'm able to. I want to present this company the right way and myself in the same light. So I can't do that until I put myself in a vulnerability, and that's what SGM Dasher told me. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable.
Well, don't be calling him SGM Dasher, because he'll probably tell you to stop doing it. You can call him Dwaylen. But here's the thing too. I heard that negative word in there that you can't. Get it out of your vocabulary, man. Get out of your vocabulary.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
Thank you.
You mighty man of valor. Put on that whole armor and get in a fight. One day at a time. One day at a time. Okay? One day at a time. Okay. Thanks for sharing that, man. That's very vulnerable. I really appreciate that. Okay, let's go over the other four. Okay? The perfection gap. It has to be the best before I start. It's got to be perfect. I got to get it 110% right before I even start this thing. I've got to have all my ducks in a row. I've got to watch all the videos. I've got to do all this. I've got to watch all the Forex stuff. I don't even know how to spell Forex yet. Whatever it is, okay? There's no perfect time, people, okay? The compounding effect doesn't work until you start. So you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't put that knowledge to work, it's never wisdom, okay? Good friend, colleague of mine says, I can't remember, I think it's Brian O'Cleary. I think he was an Irish athlete. He had a quote saying that knowledge is knowing that tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing that you shouldn't put it in a fruit salad, okay? That's the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is data. Wisdom is putting it into action, okay? God cannot direct the car that's not in motion. Here's my personal experience with that. When I was transitioning out of the military 2 years ago, I really wanted to work for Pine Cove Christian Camps, because we've been part of that ministry for 11 years. It's changed our family and the way we do things, and I really want to work for them. And there was some opportunity there, but it was just taking real slow. And that was the only thing I was pursuing. And so come January of 2018, 6 months before I retire, and nothing. And then I finally had a come to Jesus moment here, and I was praying and asking God, what do you want me to do? I don't want to pursue anything else because I don't want to be disloyal. And through my wife, one of my best friends, and a good friend of mine that works for Pine Cove said, no, look, go pursue other things. It's okay. And one of my dear friends and mentors, Tim Kimmel, said, hey, look, God cannot direct a car that's not in motion. You got to get moving. Start moving in different direction, and He will tell you go left or right, or just keep going on the same direction. And sure enough, I started moving in different directions, And the interview started just popping up, boom, 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 just coming up. God was just saying, look, I don't want you at Pine Cove right now. I might not want you at Pine Cove ever. I want you somewhere else. And he wanted us in Clarksville, Tennessee. And that's why we're here. And I'm so thankful for that because of the amazing people that we've gotten to be a part of here. So there's never a perfect time. You have to be intentional just to get moving, get started, because there's never a perfect time. Okay. The inspiration gap. I just don't feel like doing it. This stuff is too hard. Yes, it gets tough. I haven't had any prospects in 2 weeks. But are you making the calls? Are you making the connections? Are you reaching out to people? Are you talking to people? What are you doing? Just do it. Okay, just do it. Just like Art Williams says, just do it. Okay, what is your why? What is that's compelling you to action and asking you to move out and ensuring that you move out? Okay, do not stay put. Do not stay put. Okay. Okay, Myra, would you care to share any of your thoughts on the perfection gap or the inspiration gap?
Hey, Luis. Yeah, the perfection thing is something I struggled with when I got into network marketing about 13 years ago. I was one of those that thought, okay, I have to learn it all, do it all, be perfect in what I do to grow a team. And that could not have been further from the truth. Once I caught the passion by an enormous healing that I had in the company that I was with a juice, and some of you on here will know what that is. I was just ignorance on fire and built a team rapidly. So you don't have to know it all. Just plug into the system, use those 3-way calls, say as little as you can say, and let someone else do the educating for you.
That's awesome. Well done. Well done. Okay, great. Thanks for sharing that. Okay,
Sure.
let's go to the comparison gap. Okay, others are better than I am. Hey, look, it's real easy, especially in network marketing, to compare yourself to global directors and high performing folks that have been doing this for decades. For decades. You can't compare that. You can't compare it. Comparison's a tool of the devil. Don't do it. Okay, compete against yourself. Okay, compete against yourself. How are you beating yourself daily and improving? How are you tracking your stats each week? How are you doing those disciplined daily habits and that 21-day sprint or those goals? And how are you getting after it each and every? Compete against self and try to be a better version of yourself each and every day. And the next day will be 2. And then it'll be a week. Then it'll be a month. Then it'll be 12 months. And next thing you know, you're such a better version of yourself because you're competing against self. Don't compete against others. Let's lift each other up, leverage each other, help each other up, but let's not compete against each other. Okay, because that's not healthy and growing the organization. Because learning takes place outside the comfort zone. Get uncomfortable. Just like Myra was saying, she wasn't comfortable first. She wanted to know everything perfect, right? But then she got intentional about just, hey, let me just get on fire. Boom. Let me let my upline help me. 3-way calls. Leverage the 3-way calls. Leverage us if you're in our downline. You don't have to know everything. Okay? Just pique their interest with your story. That's all you have to do. And then pass them up. And we're going to help you out. We're all available. Okay? And then the expectations gap. Man, I really thought this would be a lot easier. This is really hard. Okay? Nothing worth doing is easy. Okay? It's going to take time. Okay? If you're in this network marketing business and you're not even giving yourself at least 5 years, then you're selling yourself short because it takes time. Okay? Whether it's network marketing, entrepreneurship, whatever it is, it takes time. Startups, Fortune 500, whatever it is, the compounding effect takes time. But you have to be consistent. You have to be disciplined and intentional about how you're growing and how you want to grow your business, how you want to grow your team, how you want to grow your knowledge and your wisdom. But it's going to take time. You got to stick to it. You got to absolutely stick to it. Craig Rochelle has an awesome quote, says, direction, not intention, determines your destination. Direction. Okay, not, I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to start tomorrow. I'm going to start Monday. No, just start today. How are you going to start growing today? And don't hold back. Don't cheat yourself. Okay, keep moving, keep growing. And some days you're going to fall down. You're going to be in the valleys. Go through the valley. Don't pitch your tent. Go through the valley of the shadow of death. And oh, by the way, there's some amazing grass growing in the valley that you can learn from. Lori, my wife, she taught me, it's like grass only grows in the valley. So guess what? It doesn't grow on the mountaintop. Grass grows in the valley. So if you want some nourishment from the grass and the roots, get in the valley, which means there's going to be faders. So there's going to be struggles. There's going to be hardship. You're going to get out of the comfort zone and you're going to grow. And then you can get up on that mountaintop. And oh, by the way, bring people with you next time. When you're down in that valley and you're learning, have some people around you that can help you get out of it, and then bring them along with you. Bring some other people with you. God's going to give you some struggles. He's going to help you get through some struggles, and he's going to come alongside you, because then he needs you to comfort others with what you've been comforted with. He's going to comfort you in a way because now you can help somebody else that's struggling too. So what are those lessons, and how are you teaching them, and how are you applying them? Okay, transition to intentional growth. So we've talked a lot about this, okay? I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this, and I'm gonna have these slides up, but growth compounds and accelerates if you remain intentional. You have to stay intentional, okay? Ask the big question now. How far do you wanna go? That's your why statement. Where do you wanna go in life? That's your why statement. What direction do you wanna go? That's your why statement, okay? Can you hear it? Can you hear the why? Can you hear the why? If you haven't done the why exercise with your upline, you're missing out, okay? Uplines, if you're not doing your why statement with your downline, you're missing out, okay? It's exponential growth. Do it now. Don't wait. Later is insidious. Later is just one of the most insidious words in the English language. Oh, I'll do it later. Oh, I can do it later. No, don't wait. Don't hold back. Do it now. Start thinking positive. Start putting positive thoughts in your mind and do it now, right? Face that fear factor. Face that demon. Face that evil. Put the whole armor on. Get on your knees and pray, and let's go. Draw the sword and start striking, okay? Know your fears. Ask people to come alongside you to help you face those fears. And then just get after it and do it. Don't be an accident. Be intentional, okay? Jim Rohn, no, was it Zig? I think it was Zig Ziglar had the quotes like, are you a wandering generality or an intentional specific? Don't be a wandering generality. Don't wander around living a life by default saying, oh, what could have been? Oh, I just don't know, maybe. I really don't need all this money, right? I don't need all this. Then why are you doing it? Goes back to your why again. If you don't need it all, then why are you here? If you don't need it, if you don't want to help people, if you don't want to help yourself, then why are you here? But if you are here, okay, then get out of the rut, okay? The only difference between the rut and the grave, it's its length. Be intentional. Get out of it. And oh, by the way, everybody's going to go through a rut. Just don't stay in the grave and lay down, okay? Dig yourself out. Oh, by the way, there's probably some people out of that rut giving you a hand. Take the hand. Help them lift you out. Take the rope, whatever it is, but get out of it. Don't stay there. Like again, in the valley, don't pitch your tent in the valley. Keep walking through the valley of the shadow of death. Okay? Keep walking through it. So here's the application. Okay? Here's what you got to do now. Okay? This is up to you. I can't do any of this for you. Oh, let me go back. Okay? So which gaps have caused you to neglect your growing and the way you should go, right? Take a look at your calendar over the next 6 months. How much time have you dedicated to grow each day and each week? If you haven't allocated the time, do it now. Do it today. Make an appointment with yourself. 1 hour a day, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year, okay? Take a little bit of time off, yeah, because you need a little vacation every now and then. But imagine that, 1 hour a day. 5 days a week, okay? That's 250 hours of education, more than you're going to get in a college, okay? If you do it right, around the right people, imagine what you can do a year from now, how much more you'll grow and be in a year from now. But you got to start now. Stop making excuses. Stop delaying. Understand and be aware of those gaps and get moving. Ask people to come alongside you. Ask people to kick you in the butt sometimes or punch you in the nose if you need it, to hold you accountable, right? And if you don't feel like it, do it anyways.